Hello there, welcome back to The Bleeding Truth. My name's Sally McNally and I'm the Irish midwife.
And I'm Bridget, Sally's daughter.
And we're having so much fun doing our podcast. We've been doing a few little episodes on my sisters because I love them so much. I want to share them with you. I've just gotten back from Ireland recently and I recorded little snippets with them. So that's how I'm introducing them to you. And today we're going to introduce my sister, Theresa.
Mm-hmm. So thank you guys for listening. Please make sure to give this episode a like and subscribe. And if you're on Apple, listening from Apple Podcasts, please make sure to review because that also really helps boost the podcast.
Yeah, thanks a million for that. So Theresa is one of the twins in our family. So I was born after the twins, and the twins, when they were born, they were like about 5 pounds and a few ounces each. And I'm so grateful to them. They made so much room for me. I was 10.5 pounds when I was born. So I was twice as heavy as them. But they were it was always so great to hang out with my twin sisters because they were different to each other. And I got both perspectives when I was with them. And I was, maybe I was quieter than them, but I was taking it all in. I was watching the conversations between them. And of course, there was always a little bit of a tussle between my twin sisters when I'd watch them. It was like the yin and the yang, and the positive and the negative. And I remember watching them from side to side and learning both, arguments for many situations. So Theresa was the one who always wanted us to do the right thing. And I often remember saying to our sister Kathleen, no, we can't do that. No. And of course, Kathleen was like, let's do it. And so it was a lot of fun. But Theresa was always trying to bring us back, back to base, back to ground us, to keep us safe. And she was really very wonderful. She always was the one that would help me with my homework. And she was really, really intelligent, really good in school, always very organized, and very, very sweet to me, I guess that helped to balance the
chaos.
The chaos from the other side of the twins. Which we'll talk about in the next episode.
Okay.
But Theresa, she ended up going to live with her partner in the west of Ireland. So most of the rest of my family are around Dublin or Monaghan or around different areas like that. But she went way over to the west coast. Of course, Ireland is just an island and you can get to any one part in one day. But the west is really special. It's really beautiful. It's very scenic, very wild. And so that's how her character is now. When she was younger, she was always trying to be organized and do the right thing. But now she's a free spirit. I'm so happy for her. She's so happy. She doesn't use computers. She doesn't have a smartphone.
Wow.
She's all in touch with nature. She has all these animals. She lives in one of those little houses close to the sea. She has all these, beautiful doves. They go to, people's funerals and weddings and stuff, and she'll release these doves. And
wow.
So yeah, she's really interesting. She does some acting, with an acting group with these plays, and
that's so cool.
I know. I feel really happy for her for the way, she was so hard on herself growing up, trying to keep us safe. But now she doesn't have to worry. She can, you live in this beautiful, wild place and be a free spirit. And she's very interesting to talk to, because whenever I meet her now, I'm always interested, what's she doing now? And, what's going on with her and her partner Paul. A great guy, wonderful guy. But she, like the rest of us, we always have our phone close by. Every now and then we're checking, we get a text, what's the email.
Mhm.
She doesn't have that. And she's talking to you,
Right.
she's got complete openness, complete focus, eye contact. And, I often wonder, have we forgotten a little bit on how good it is to communicate, how good we all are
I would
in
agree.
Ireland?
That's true.
Yeah, yeah. So I know that for me, I'm kind of like tied to the phone, um,
Hmm.
and Theresa brings me back to real, honest, straightforward communication. I know she's listening. I know she's taking in all of me as she's talking to me, and it makes me, remember that that's the way it was growing up, without
Right.
all of the technology. So I'm going to start teaching myself how to break that habit of constantly looking at the phone.
Yeah. It's hard because you also need it for your patients, but
I do, yes,
yeah.
yeah. She is all about symbols too. She always brings little gifts to us whenever we have like a family
Oh,
reunion. She'll bring a little gift that symbolizes something lovely,
that's nice.
little piece. And usually she'll buy something from a local artist. Where she lives is Ireland. It's real. There's Gaelic communities where they speak Gaelic, and they have the old ways of living. All of the little roads, they have those little rock walls, where people cleared
Beautiful.
the
Yeah.
countryside, and they pick those rocks and build walls with them, and then
Yeah.
they'd make a little field that they could till or have their animals. So it's that kind of feeling, and she has that
Yeah.
kind of feeling around her, that kind of like ancient, mysterious loveliness of Ireland. So
Yeah. It's beautiful.
yeah, she reminds me of where I come from.
Oh.
Thanks, Theresa.
Yeah. So let's hear from Theresa.
Yeah, this is my sister Theresa. Teresa's
Hello.
one of the twins, and she was born before me, and I learned some of the best things in my life from my sister Teresa. She
Thanks,
always kept
Sally.
me on the straight and narrow.
Even while I was going off the rails behind the scenes. But I'm 2 years and a month older than Sally. And being a twin, I was born 2 hours before my twin sister Kathleen, who was a cramp breach and had to be delivered by physical means. I think that's Sally'd know more about that sort of a delivery. I wasn't there. By all accounts, I was handed to our dad. And I always felt a very strong connection with my dad throughout my life. Loved my mother, but certainly we didn't gel all the time. But that's what can happen. But
that's
yes,
interesting. That's lovely. It's like the bond that a baby gets with the first person that holds them for those hours.
And I have grandchildren now, and I look at them and I think, God, I'm so blessed that I had 2 children, and my daughter, who's the youngest, has had 2 children, who I just, nothing matters when they're around. They keep me in the now, and they make me kind of feeling like life is worth it. Like there's been some really tough times in life.
Yes, darling.
Like everybody has tough times in life. But giving birth to my children was both exciting and joyful. And as for the physical pain of birth, that just faded. It was nothing. I knew what was happening in my body, and I went with it. Went with it every step. And on the second baby, I was 4 hours in labour with the first, a boy, who's now 36. And on the second baby, who was a year and 10 days later, I had my second baby. And the labour was just super quick.
I remember I was in our mother's house and I was a young student midwife, and you came over to say you're heading into the maternity hospital.
Yeah.
That you were in labour, and I was like all gung-ho student midwife, and I had this really strong urge to check her cervix and to see what was happening.
Well, if she had, I think she would have delivered my daughter.
I think so.
I think she would have, because as soon as I got to the hospital, a man met me with a wheelchair and said, "Sit in, I'll bring you up to the labour ward." I said, "There's no chance I'm going to sit," I said. "Just show me where it is." So I got to the labour ward. The nurse said, "Get up on the bed." I lay on the bed and she says, "Oh, the head is there."
Oh my God.
And my husband, I said, "Call him, quick, call him." And he was just down the corridor and he came running in, and she was delivered in a flash.
Yeah.
2 pushes, and I had a baby daughter who weighed in at £7 14
Amazing.
ounces,
Yeah.
which was a great size, a regular baby,
Yeah.
a joy to have.
But you were so strong, Bridgie, Theresa, Bridgie. But I couldn't even tell that you
having
were
a cup of Irish tea.
Yes, couldn't tell that you were in labour.
No, because
I was
I
like
was
looking at
dropping
you and-
the first little fellow, who was still a baby, in nappies with my mother and father to mind while I was in the hospital. And I was kept in for 2.5 days.
Yeah.
They wouldn't give me my dinner on the 3rd day. They just said, "Go home, you're fine." And I said, "Oh, I thought it was going to be a week." Because I was a week in hospital the first time.
Yeah.
And I thought they were going to keep me for a week and I was going to have a lovely holiday.
Why do you think you were in for a week with the first baby?
He was just slightly under the £7, and he spent a day of that in an incubator.
Yeah.
And I had a few stitches.
Yeah.
And they were just checking.
Yeah.
But after having him,
Yeah.
when I was released from hospital, I did develop an infection
I
where the
vaguely
stitches
remember
were.
that. Yes,
So
poor baby, yeah.
during his baptism, I remember not feeling too good, and the next day I had to go to my doctor and get antibiotics. So but that's part of being a mother, and sort of, there was great joy in it, but there was a lot of hard work, and as teenagers they can be hard work.
Yeah.
They can be hard work even now at times.
Right.
Do you know?
Yes.
But the children, I love being around them.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Sort of, they're happy little creatures.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a really interesting life now.
I do. I have a lovely time. I'm involved in a couple of singing groups, which is a great group to group together and sing together. And I'm actually going to be involved in a concert, which is an open air concert next Friday in a little town called Kilrush in the west of Ireland.
Wow, I wish I could stay for that.
There'll be about 100 people singing, not professionally, even though some people are professional singers, but singing regular songs like Rhinestone Cowboy and the Corrs, some of their songs, and just beautiful songs. And it's a beautiful garden that's open to the public all year round. And we're doing it to raise funds for cancer for people in West Clare, to have a service for them, taxi service, counselling service, and all that sort of stuff. So it's great to be involved in that. So I'm also involved in another group that are singing at a wedding in September. And then I'm involved in the church choir, which is great fun, really.
How great is that,
Just singing and being involved in groups and doing stuff and all that. It's sort of, I don't have a social life where I go out drinking all night as I used to. Not anymore. Those days are gone. But this is more social than anything I've ever had.
Wow, how beautiful.
At a bar, like, do you know, where
fun.
we can all get together and just, you're singing and everybody's singing from the centre, the heart space, and it's beautiful, do you know? So that's next Friday night, and it's going to be 7:00 in the evening.
Yeah.
I don't know, can it be got on the www situation, but I'll let Sally know if it
let
can.
me know. I'd love to see it. Yeah.
So as
maybe
for
it'll be taped or something.
What do you call this podcast?
The Bleeding Truth.
The Bleeding Truth. I call it brutal honesty. I'm nothing hard to say other than the world is a little bit changed since I was young. Not for the better. Do you know? Yeah. Some things are too hot, some things are too cold. Just everything's changed. And COVID did change a lot, didn't it? Yeah. But listen, it's been lovely talking to Sally. And
don't you know gorgeous place over in the west of
I
Ireland?
live in an old Irish stone-built cottage.
She lives in the dream.
And we have
she really does
20 chickens. And we've got half a dozen young ducklings. And we've got about half a dozen adult ducks. And we've got 20 doves, beautiful white and cream doves, and a beautiful black dog called BB, who I haven't seen all day, and I kind of miss her. and it's sort of, we have 2 acres of beautiful trees. We've planted a lot of native trees, and beautiful trees. I do shrubs, and it's pretty wild now, to be honest with you. But it's very bee friendly, because a hive of wild bees landed on the corner of the cottage earlier in the summer and made their home just under the roof of the cottage. But it's big thick walls. There's about easily 2 foot thick walls in the cottage, so they're in there somewhere. They're not bothering us in any, you know. So that's where we're at.
How wonderful! I love it.
That and a bit of singing and the odd bit of cursing, you know. Don't ever forget that if you ever come to Ireland, you have to drink lots of tea, and it's very good for you.
It's very good for you.
The good old drop of Irish milk. And
Irish cows are happy cows, aren't they?
Irish cows.
I
don't think any cow is happy. Getting your tits pulled twice a day and only seeing a bull once a year. What cow would be happy?
I thought they were happy, but when I hear that, you're right.
You think about it.
Yeah, how could you be happy?
Yeah. I like trees, rock on trees.
Oh,
that's what I say.
Trees,
and my name is Theresa. Trees. Theresa.
Well, thank you, Theresa. Thanks a million for listening to Our Bleeding Truth. And thanks, Theresa, for sharing your wee stories with us.
And don't forget to like and subscribe for the Bleeding Truth podcast. And catch some more of these bonus episodes with Sally's other, 4 other sisters.
Thank you. Bye. Slap me again. Oh, again. And the other way. Do it the other way.